Hi folks, this is Donald. In this video I am having a go at sketching this really quite busy and complicated street scene in New York City. This is Radio City Music Hall, and I chose this scene specifically because it was so complicated and cluttered. There's so much going on with all the different buildings going in different directions, and then you've got flags on the building, there's all the traffic lights and signs, and then there's a big Christmas tree. There was just so much going on, and I thought that's perfect at the moment because what I'm trying to achieve is far more complex sketches. I'm trying to be much more ambitious, just following on from what I was talking about last week. I really want to try and be a bit more ambitious and aim for sketching scenes that I would have shied away from simply because they looked on the face of it too complicated. My attitude now is just to go for it and see what happens. So as always, I start with the items in the foreground and then I work my way backwards. So start with the cars and then I start putting in the street lighting and the signposts and all that sort of stuff, and then the buildings go in behind that. I absolutely love constructing scenes like this because it's like a giant puzzle you have to work out. One piece has to go in front of another piece and then that has to go in front of another piece, and just trying to work out what goes where and not having things crossing over each other. It takes so much practice, and sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't, and that's the reason why I have gone back to doing a pencil plan before I start my sketches in ink, because with a scene like this, I would have just got totally lost if I'd just gone straight in with the ink. And in last week's video, I was speculating about why my sketches in recent times haven't been quite as good as they had been maybe 6 or 12 months ago. And I think when I reflect on it, one of the things that I've maybe found is that by not doing a pencil sketch and a plan beforehand and just going straight in with the ink, it felt a bit more random what the end result was going to be. And even though it's not that important what the end result is, I could see that my pictures overall were declining in how good they were at the end, because I could see that I wasn't thinking things through properly. Once the ink is down, there's no way to erase it, and so I was making more mistakes, I think. And just having that rough guide with the pencil of where things will go, I really do think that has helped me get back on track and be drawing a bit better than I was. Another big thing that I've done that's pretty much gone back to how I started off sketching is that I am taking considerably longer to do my sketches than I have been of late. This took about 3 hours in total, and this is maybe even the main reason why I've started drawing better again, is because I'm taking a lot longer. I'm going slower, I'm thinking things through more, and really just accepting the fact that this is going to take me much longer than it did. So maybe rather than doing a 1 hour sketch or a 2 hour sketch, I'm now going into 3 hours, perhaps even 4, depending on how complicated the scene is going to be, and really just absorbing myself into it. And I think the side effect of that is I'm enjoying it so much more again. I really feel energized about sketching and drawing, and I'm just really enjoying the activity again. I sort of felt like I was getting a little bit jaded with it because I felt like I was slightly going through the motions for a little while, and so maybe that's why I was only drawing quick sketches, like maybe only spending an hour to do one just to get it out of the way. And that's not really the point of this. It's supposed to be something that is enjoyable and is a fun activity, and I want to see progression, and if I'm seeing little bits of progression, then I know I'm going to enjoy it all the more. Another thing I'm doing that is possibly one of the reasons why I'm spending longer on sketches is that I am trying to add more detail. So for example, the big signs in the middle that say Radio City, in the past I would have just drawn that as flat letters, whereas now I spent the time to go around each letter and make them 3-dimensional like they are in the scene. And so things like that, just little details to make it look more realistic. Not that this is in any way realistic, clearly this is a cartoony version of the real world scene, but it adds to the authenticity of it, and trying to get in all that detail. It does add to the time that it takes to do it, but I think it's worth it. It adds that extra texture and 3-dimensional effect that you see in the real world. I did do a very dopey thing during this sketch. At one point my pen ran out of ink, and so I got up and went away looking for my bottle of ink, and then I was looking for the converter that you need to suck up the ink and put it into the pen to keep drawing, and I couldn't find it. And I was looking everywhere. I read through all my sketching supplies in my bag, I was rooting through drawers, I looked everywhere and I could not find it. And then after about half an hour of wondering what on earth I'd done with my ink converter, I remembered that it was inside my pen. Of course, that's where it stays. You just dip the pen in the ink, twist the converter that's already inside it, sucks up the ink, and then you start drawing. So essentially I wasted half an hour looking for something that was right in front of me. It kind of reminds me of the episode of Fawlty Towers, the old British comedy series, when the old lady comes down to reception and she's insisting that she can't find her reading glasses, and she's also deaf, and Basil Fawlty, the hotel owner, is screaming at her, "They are on your head, your glasses are on your head," and she's like, "What?" And she's insisting that she's lost them and they're just there all the time. time. That's what this felt like to me. But anyway, once I'd realised the converter was very much inside my pen, I refilled it and get back on with the sketch that I thought I was going to have to abandon. The reason I chose to sketch a scene in New York City is because it's the only place in America that I've ever been, and I absolutely love the city. It's years ago I was there, and I don't suppose I'll be going back anytime soon. So the best I can do is find these places as photographs online and sketch them and wish what could have been. I nearly did get a second trip to New York a few years ago because I used to be a professional photographer, and every year they have the International Photography Awards, which is like the Oscars of photography, and so all the best professionals in the world enter this contest, and they have a big lavish ceremony each year in Carnegie Hall in New York. And one year I was in the top 3 in my field of speciality, which was completely unbelievable and surreal. They would tell you the winners before the ceremony, and the winner of each category got an all expenses paid trip to New York, and they get to go to the ceremony and collect their award and all that. But in what is a summary of probably my entire life, I came second, and second place you get a certificate, and that is just about the summary of my existence, the nearly man. And not only that, it's an emailed certificate, so you have to print it out yourself. So close to greatness. And so I did want to try and find a photograph of Carnegie Hall that I could use to sketch, but I couldn't find any online that I can use legally because all the photos I use in my videos are downloaded from sites that allow you to use the photographs copyright free and with no restrictions. And I couldn't find one that was suitable, so I found this one of Radio City, and I thought, well, that is another hall, I guess, and it's exactly the sort of scene that I'm looking to sketch at the moment with lots and lots going on, so I gave this one a go instead. And I was really chuffed how this one turned out. It does feel to me like I'm back on track again, and hopefully if you've been following this for a while you'll see that as well. And that's why I hope these videos are helpful. It's because so much of what you see online is from people who are already the finished article and are not in the period of trying to progress. They're already at the top of their art and are sharing it with everyone, which is fantastic, and I love to watch these videos. But also I think it's sometimes good to see the progression of someone who's not the finished article yet, and I'm certainly not that. But I do feel like I am progressing, and if I keep challenging myself to draw more and more complicated scenes, I do feel like I'm getting better at drawing, and I've really got my mojo back and I'm drawing more again, even when I'm not filming, which is great because that's what it was like when I started. I've really got the enthusiasm back, so that's exciting for me, and hopefully it will lead to better sketches and better videos to come. So as always, thanks so much for watching, and for more urban sketching inspiration like this, you can click on this video right here, and I will see you in the next one.